In Luke chapter 11, one of the disciples asks Jesus to teach them how to pray, and he does. Now think for a second. If prayer is something that needs to be taught, or can be taught, what if you'd never been taught how to pray? So imagine two people in identical situations, then identical circumstances, identical in every way, except one person was taught how to pray, one person was not, and they both prayed for the same things. Would they get the same results if one had not been taught how to pray? Then why would Jesus teach them how to pray if it didn't make any difference if they were taught? So Jesus thought it was important to teach them how to pray. And in Luke chapter 11, we have that teaching. Verse 2, whenever you pray. Now, it says, most Bibles, when you pray, but it's literally whenever you pray. Doesn't mean every single time necessarily, but this is the basic concept here. Now, this prayer that Jesus taught is found twice in the Bible, Luke chapter 11 and Mark chapter 6. And there's some variations, so I'm going to just do it as one. When Jesus taught, he taught many different times, many different places, and sometimes the words aren't identical, but if you teach the same thing over and over again, sometimes there's just minor changes here, so I'm just combining the two. It begins with praying to Father. You talk to God as Father. Those of you who don't have kids, you're missing something. When God teaches people about himself, one of the major ways he does that is through family. Now, we get two chances to get it right. First, we grow up having parents. Hopefully, we learn love from our parents. Unconditional love. That doesn't always work. So we get a second chance when we become parents. And we have this little child that we love more than we ever could imagine we can love something. And hopefully we learn from this end what the love is for a parent for a child. So we approach God as Father. Let your name be hallowed. Let your kingdom come. Let your will be done. Now think for a second. Why would Jesus is telling the disciples to pray that God's will be done? Isn't everything God's will? I mean, I've heard that so many times. Everything is God's will. Well, then why is he telling us to pray that let your will be done? I've had discussions with somebody, person, I know very well for years and years and years. I keep saying, well, every rape, every murder, every beheading, every bomb happened, and God allowed it. Does that mean it was his will? But Jesus tells us to pray for God's will to be done. Then it says, give us this day our daily bread. Scholars debate over the word daily here. It's a very unusual word. Some say it means daily. Some means what is needful. Give us today our bread that is needed for the day. But even still, it's asking every day, give us today our bread. So tomorrow you have to pray the same thing. So what if you didn't pray for it? Jesus tells you to pray every day because it says, give us this day. So you're praying just for today. So what if you didn't pray for that? Would you still get your daily bread? Now we live in America. Yeah, most likely. But also now, this idea of bread is commonly understood means that all our needs, not just the physical bread that we eat, not just the food that we eat, but all the things that we need on a daily basis. So would you get everything that you needed if you didn't pray for this? Now Jesus is saying every day you pray for your daily bread. So if you didn't get your daily bread and you didn't pray for it, would it have been God's will for you not to get your daily bread? I mean, after all, he told you to pray for it. If he told you to pray for it and you don't pray for it and you don't get it, well, whose fault is that? Is it because God didn't want you to have it? Because he told you what to do. He told you to pray for it. There's a story, it's not a story, but in the Old Testament, Exodus chapter 16, the story of the Israelites journeying from Egypt to the Promised Land. They were enslaved in Egypt for 400 years, whatever. God delivered them. They're in the wilderness, and they needed food. And God provided manna for them. Now, when Jesus talks about daily bread, I mean, most people think of this is what he had in mind. Because the Jews knew what daily bread was, the manna. Now, the manna came every morning. They would gather what they needed. They couldn't keep it for the next day. If they did, it would rot. And they had to get it in the morning. If they didn't get it in the morning, it would melt. So first thing in the day, before the sun got hot, they had to go out and gather their daily bread. If they didn't, they wouldn't have it. So Jesus is saying, every day, first thing in the morning, early, you pray for your daily bread from God. And if you don't pray it, and you don't get it, is it God's fault? Was it God's will he didn't get it? Because he told you to pray for it. Later in the same prayer, it says, deliver us from evil. Now think for a second here. We've already established that Jesus said to pray this prayer every day, early, and you're praying for the day's needs. And he's saying every day you pray, deliver us from evil. So it's not just waiting until evil happens, but every day before the evil happens, you pray for God to deliver us from evil, to protect us from the evil, from the bad things. And over the years, I've become very specific about this, including flat tires and all kinds of things. So Jesus is saying every day, pray, protect us, deliver us from evil. Now, what if you didn't pray it? And evil happened. Was it God's will? Well, he told you, he tells us to pray every day before the fact, deliver us from evil. That doesn't mean that he won't or can't deliver you from the evil after it happens. But I would understand it to be an unnecessary evil, one that could have been prevented. This is the prayer that Jesus gave us, okay? And then after this, he tells a story about a man who had friends come to him at midnight, okay? Now, in that culture, you take care of people. That's being in a hospital, that's what you do. And he didn't have enough food for this person. So he goes to his friend's house, midnight. He pounds on the door and says, hey, I need some bread, some food. Can you give it to me? And the guy says, look, I'm in bed. Forget it. We're all in bed here. You're waking up the whole family here, the whole house. Go away. And the guy keeps pounding. He keeps knocking on the door. And Jesus says that this man in the house, not because the guy's a friend, but because this guy's annoying the heck out of him, he will get up and give him what he needs. And Jesus is saying prayer is like this sometimes. He says a little bit later on here about, the famous verses, ask and shall be given to you, seek and shall find, knock and shall be opened to you. For everyone who asks, receive, everyone who seeks, finds, everyone who knocks, it shall be opened. Well, this is what they call the present tense in Greek, which is a continual thing. Not just you ask and that's it. But you may have to keep asking, keep knocking, keep seeking. Because it's like this friend who gets what he needs only because of his persistence. Actually, the word is, there's some discussion about the meaning of the word, but some translate it as persistence, But probably the best understanding is a shameless boldness that comes to somebody's house at midnight, knocks on the door and says, I need this, I need this. I'm not going to wait till you take care of it. So that in a very short time is Jesus teaching about prayer.